This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and The Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, last week I focused on what you need to be looking at from 4 to up to 12 months out before your book is actually published, however the format you are in being published. It's a lot to do, and I know that a lot of you have said it's many times, I just want to write. I get that. But the reality is you're running a business now, and you've got a huge product that's coming out, and you have to evolve from being the CWO, the Chief Writing Officer, to now you're becoming the Chief Marketing Officer. And you've got to move into that product area. One of the areas to start moving that product, i.e. your book, as I mentioned as we closed up last week, was Amazon is your friend. I mean, there's a lot of moaning and groaning that Amazon does this and Amazon does that. The reality is, for the small publisher, whether you're self, whether you're a small press, whether you're an indie press, Amazon is one of your best friends. And it has done wonders for getting books out there in a variety of arenas and formats. So I'm not going to kick them in the tire. I'm going to figure out how to work with them. So you've got to have that Amazon account, whether you decide you're going to sell through their, what they call their market sources, or you're going to create an Amazon.com/advantage account, which is for the small publisher. And you can go in and, you upload all your copy, you upload your headlines, you upload people who have endorsed it, pre-endorse it, any reviews you can upload and bring into play, and you get all that information. You can get it up actually months before you have a book in hand, because they'll say, when is this going to be published? And you can have it up. They will take actually pre-pub sales. So nobody gets charged. They just hold the credit card in a bay, so to speak, until the official date is triggered, and you're the one that triggers it because you put in, my book will be published October 1st. So let's say you load everything in September 2nd, and it's just going to sit. It'll actually have a gray window, and it'll say pre-pub can be taken, and then on October 1st it goes voila, it gets a different orangey color, and it's off and running. Meanwhile, orders can be coming in. And last week I mentioned Steve Snyder's Shot Down book. We knew he was getting pre-orders because I could see what his ranking was. And, Amazon has millions of books. He had a ranking of within a couple of days that he made his account live on Amazon, and then he's starting to do shout outs to people, order. We could see that his ranking was 6,000 overall out of millions. That told me orders are coming in. That means that Amazon then will put in a bigger pre-buy order. They're not going to do their notorious send us 1 or 2 books. They will most likely order at least 100 to 200 books on that first initial order, which we probably will be seeing here in another 2 weeks. So that's something that Steve saw in 2 weeks after he launched, put up the book was going to be available, which would be 2 weeks roughly before he had his actual official publication date. So it works. All right, so we talked about that whole area of Amazon and creating that so your books can be displayed to the world. Next up is, are you going to do a campaign of any sort? Well, I think it's a good idea. So how do you do an effective campaign? You start reaching out to other people who say, we want to be with you. We want to be involved with you. We want to take advantage of that. creating your Amazon campaign then involves reaching out and building partners. People who will do a shout out. So, and they want to maybe share in a shout out by supplying a perk of some sort, like a gift or a reward, they're called often too. Gifts and rewards, bonuses that has some value to people who buy your book. So the deal is that you probably need to have someone who can put together a very quick, and we're not talking about a deep dive landing page either on your website or a special even website of just a couple of pages. An opening page, you want to do a video, why this book is for them, invite them in, what they will get taken away from it. You want to have some fun images. If you're going to have gifts or bonuses, describe what they are. And you need to have a form. You could do something like Jot form, or you could do Woofu. Woofu is WOOFUU, I think. I should look that up while we're on the air today to verify what it is. But Woofu, WOOFUU. And they have a form that you can use to literally collect names. So because you want to have them click over to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you're sending them, so they buy the book, and then they come back and they slap in a copy of their confirmation number, and then voila, the gifts open, and they get whatever the free gifts are. So meanwhile, you've collected names, which is also hot, and their emails, but also you've got now a new, guess what, fan, so you can communicate with them. So that's a smart way to go and do that. And we'll pull that around. So the next thing is, now let's move into, that's a setup, and you'll keep that going. And then we go into, so the clock time is shortening. We're at 4 months to launch date. I want you to start thinking about flyers, postcards, bookmarks, tools that you could create and produce and give away free and or sell. Like I actually sold my bookmarks. But things that will enhance you. For postcards, make sure you put the cover of your book on one side, the full cover on the other. Maybe your photo, make sure you put the return address at the top. If you mail these out, return address for a postcard. Write something that's catchy in the body, so it gives the recipient some action to do. Order your book, call you about speaking. You may want to make 2 or 3 different types of cards with different messages. One for buying the card, maybe one for speaking, one for sending out thank yous even. You only need just your photo and return address, leaving you with a few inches to write a short, I'm talking about a very short note. And that takes effect. You want to send out your review copies. If you're going to Pub Weekly, Library Journal, if you're going to Forwards, if you're going to Kirkus, that they're looking for 3, max 4 months out. To reach out and do that. So you want to make sure you have to go to their websites, look for their submission guidelines, and see what they need to do. Some want 1 book, some want a couple of books. One never knows. So get going, get those reviewed out. You need a quick press release to have with that. This is a great time, if you haven't already, to connect with potential speaking groups. To try to work a deal, to start promoting your book and moving it forward that way. Now, in the old days, and I can tell you, I come from the old days where I was with New York based, and what they did is they sent me out on full-fledged author tours, where I had an escort to take me to radio stations, to TV stations, to print interviews. Right, that's almost dinosaurian unless you're somebody really big. Most of us are mid-list authors. And, but can you do an author tour yourself? Sure you can. In fact, a lot of those big authors started at the trunk of their car. And what they did is always carry cases. And by the way, once you have books, you always carry a case in your trunk. Everywhere you go, I want you to have a book in hand, have them available to sell. 1 or 2 copies here, 1 or 2 copies there, adds up to lots of copies. Have them available. You are the chief marketing officer. But Being frugal is a way you can do it. You could piggyback onto other events and activities that you already have planned. For example, is there going to be a family reunion coming up? And you could be in Chicago, for example, here, or you could be going to a high school reunion in San Francisco, or you could go to your brother's son's wedding in January. And you're in, let's see, Florida would be a good place to be in January. So you're going to be in those places. Well, they have bookstores. You can tag into other events. You could go into meetup.com, by the way. Do a search for, a word specific. Do a keyword search tying in with what your book's about. That there may be some way that you could tie on into that arena. You could talk to independent, and I would reach out to little independent bookstores and see if they'd be willing to bring it in. Then you've got more work, because your work now becomes, you know those people you connected in Blogland? You know, the social media contacts you build it up in whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus, or fill in the blank. You need to go into the events and announce, hey, I'm in Duluth on this date. I'm going to be doing a free talk, a free workshop, a book signing, fill in the blank. Come and meet me. I'd love to meet you. Come and see me. You know, we authors need support. You'll be surprised what happens, but your job is to run it that way. The other thing that I used to do is that those postcards, again, came in handy, that if I, for example, nailed down a major television show, or an interview, I would actually send a postcard to the local bookstores. Again, it's all available online for you. That you're going to be featured on the Good Morning Austin show. I don't know if there's one, but there could be. You're going to be featured on Colorado Today. You're going to be featured in, I'm in Colorado, so we have the Denver Post here. And you let them know the date, because you're giving them a heads up. If you're going to be featured, they should have some books, and they will do ordering of books. So that's the kind of game that you're looking at. And you want to say your pitch is, if you call them even, or if you do it in writing, I'm going to be in town on the days of blah, 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 and I will be doing a feature on my book and the title of your book. If you're going to a bookstore, give them the ISBN on there. If you've got a bookstore directly, if you've got all this other going, hey, call them and see if you can tag on and do an event. And when you call them, make sure, and if they secure that and say, God, we'd love to have you. If they secure that, then what you want to do is then when you're on that media platform, whether it's a print, radio, TV, you want to say, hey, everyone, I'm going to be at the local XYZ bookstore between 7 and closing tonight. Come and see me, get a book. I would love to personalize it and sign it for you and chat for a few minutes. And by the way, I'll have free cookies or something like that. But that's what you want to look at. That's hooking them in and bringing it in. You know, you also could reach out to the local Chamber of Commerce of the city, and they might have names of groups too. All right, we're going to be right back. We'll be deep diving into much more on how to create a successful book launching within a few months of publication.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU. and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Every picture tells a story, and it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we're talking about things to do within 4 months of publication when you're ready to go. So we talked about sending out review copies, creating postcard, bookmarks, anything, the add-on goodies you might want to think of doing, like a little trading card, maybe some quick tips that you can leave around. And by the way, the more you can leave around, especially if it's quirky or fun, staff retains that and they'll remember you, and that, you may get a callback if you're doing any kind of media, which is always a plus. You want to leave, you want to just, leave breadcrumbs everywhere. As we went to our close on the last break, I was talking about possibilities of, do you want to create your own author tour? And that one of the things that a lot of publications will pick you up in coming in. So when you're pitching for local support, I want to encourage you not to forget the throwaways. And what am I meaning throwaways? For example, that Denver has a throwaway weekly newspaper. Aurora, which is a city almost the same size as Denver, which butts it, has a throwaway called the Aurora Sentinel. We always send things to those papers because they're looking to fill. So take advantage of that. Don't forget the local throwaway papers, the community outreach that get left in coffee shops. They are put in grocery stores. People pick those up, and they could be a little article that comes in that could be very helpful. Now, I mentioned this is the time you pull in chits. Have you done a favor for anyone? I don't care what the favor is. Have you done a favor for anyone that you might want to reach out and ask him or her to host you, to do a book event, to do a signing? I have done that for many of my friends and authors. I have a dear friend who writes women's literature, and we did a very high-end tea where actually we told everyone to wear their favorite hat. Some people had to go buy hats. Hello, Goodwill. And they wore their favorite hats. Some showed up decked in gloves, and a whole bank, and I had a whole high tea laid out. Mara did a wonderful reading and talked about the evolution of the little city and town that all her books are around. She literally took us virtually there that we could envision and see it. And she sold not only a lot of her books, but people bought other books in the series, and they bought the audiobook that she brought along too. So don't be shy about calling in favors. One of my authors, Jim Hall, General Jim Hall, had a launching it was the first launching, first big signing event for his book called Parachuting for Gold in Old Mexico. Well, he was very involved in politics and supporting. He was involved, number one, in the Air Force Academy, and he was involved in politics. And he had been instrumental in helping getting Governor Bill Owens elected. They were very grassroots, he and his wife, Georgianne, behind the scenes. When Jim's book came along, he pulled in the chit and said, and Bill not only stepped up to the plate, Governor Owens, he stepped up to the plate, he posted on his home nickel the entire event that was held at a high-end restaurant. Over 225 books were sold. And of course, I felt like when I went there, I was in the who's who of political side there. So if anyone had something they wanted to pitch, that would have been a good place to be. So this is enough. And what for Jim, it sold enough books that he covered the cost of his first print run. Now, that's pretty exciting. So that's a friend who comes out and says, you know what, I want to help you celebrate. I'm going to do a shout out. I'm going to invite everybody I know to come and celebrate you. Now, I want to say this also. This is important. You can give away books, which is, I think, you seed, but you know what? Do it with a string attached. Now, media, you don't have any string attached. There's no guarantees here. But friends love to get books. Do it with a string attached. Friends should buy a book too. So they should be there to support. So if you're giving to them, tell them, make sure that not only do I want you to go up and give an Amazon review, which is also very important to start seeding and getting into your head very quickly, BNN review, but to do a review, pick it up, and also you get a book for a friend. So friends shouldn't expect free books. They should expect to buy them. People who you interview, people who are instrumental in creating the book, you want to make sure that you get a book free to them. Now, I will tell you, every book I work for and put with, I always buy a copy on Amazon, and I do it for one of two reasons. One, I want to see how it's shipped, what kind of shape it comes in. And secondly, I do want to see that the book has a scenario where that I can go up now, I can do a review because I'm a bona fide buyer of the book. Have you thought about a book club? This is the time to really reach out and going through. And so what you want to do is a Google search and look for book clubs that don't pay a lot of money for a book when they buy it. And I'm talking about, there's two types of book clubs here. One is the book study group, that you have a cluster of people that it would be great fun. For example, Gail Mancini, who wrote To Tuscany with Love, the Sons of Italy book club does 4 major books that they push in a year. They picked up her book, women's literature, women's fiction, and supported it and moved it out, and she sold buku books that way. So buku books, book clubs, those kind of book clubs expect to get, when they do it in mass, like a featured book of the month club, any of those, they will buy it at a very deep plan on this discount for your book. But they also, what's great is they pay right away, 30-day pay, and secondly, they are not going to buy 5 books or 10 books. A major book club could easily buy 500 to 1,000 books. So that's one way to look at. The other thing is, as I said, is to go to the small cluster of people. Again, I'd go back to Meetup. Are there any, just put book clubs in and see that, and you might be able to email. You can email directly. You'll find out who the creator, owner of that Meetup group is, and say, I have a new book that I think would be ideal for your club. Do your pitch very quickly. And then say, I would be available for a Skype call. I would be, anything to do it. And a lot of book clubs, by the way, will do Skypes with authors. And that I have a friend who did a crowdfunding for her book. One of the prizes was an exclusive Skype where that the books were supplied for up to 20 members. I mean, this was like $1,000 reward. Up to 20 members, she would help pay for a little bit of the food, etc. So there are things that you can do. Next up, 4 to months out and less, you want to make sure that whatever public calendars you can access, see what their guidelines are from Google onto your local areas. And you don't want to start bombarding recipients too much and too soon, but you do want to stay connected and let them know that this celebration is coming. Within 4 months, you have a great photo of yourself. Now, I'm not a great fan of this formal, I'm all dressed up type of photo. I like casual photos, and sometimes they may be tied to your hobby. It could be just, it could be a spectacular day outside, and someone was taking some casual shots that, oh my gosh, here is one of you that's the cat's meow. That it could be the perfect photo, whether it's your jacket photo, I don't know. But there's certainly that you can incorporate. You want to have a lot of photos and images in your communication from your book sheet, from your author sheets, one sheets that you create, from on your images on your website. So it's photo time. And if so you don't have one, you want both color and black and white, it is time to get it. And that, as I said, if you're doing something you love, if it's fishing, if it's skiing, you might want to use that on that. And make sure, though, whatever it is, it's high resolution, a minimum of 300 DPI. And you have that. And also, you want to have, for media purposes, if you have a media page, a speaking page on your website, make sure you drop it in that on the JPEG so people can download it and grab it, as well as a good bio that they could use and print up. You always want to make it easy. For those of you who are thinking about going to a book club, reaching out to like book clubs, you want to make sure, I think it's a make sure, that you create some study question groups, questions. So the group has questions that they can run over and that are intriguing. And this would be for fiction as well as nonfiction. So think about putting that together. Your press release goes up on your website, and you want to start releasing up, and you start connecting with the local media, just chit-chat. One of the ways to chit-chat, by the way, with the local media is if you're reading your newspaper or you see something online, a lot of times the author of that column might have an email or how to contact that person. Send them a compliment. I really love the column you did about that, and just send it out. Don't pitch anything. Just start doing that, and eventually you'll start in and say, by the way, George, I don't know if you're aware of it, but I've got a brand new book that related to a topic that you wrote 3 months ago. And if you'd like to have a review copy of it, let me know, and start that dialogue in that area. All right? So get that attention. And again, as we said, you're going to continue with your pre-publication selling. All right, 3 months. The clock is really ticking. Your books are getting closer. You want to make sure that you're on schedule. You should be in the layout. Worst case, layout should be coming to a closure because you need to get to print very shortly. So you're going to keep honing your pitch during this time. That you should have had your advanced copy sent out to things like libraries. Journals are so important for supporting authors on that. That you're with your book being done, this is the time now, once it goes into layout. And the reason why I don't want to do an ebook yet is because, guaranteed, there's more editing. Because I know we always recommend that you do in layout. As soon as that layout's done, you go to that final edit, which is what we call the cold eye edit in our offices. And I have someone who has never seen the book actually have it in printed format. They will read it as it looks in the book, layout pages, and they are going to be looking for those missing commas, that missing quotation mark, the backwards quotation mark, maybe an incomplete sentence, maybe a line that got dropped down and we need to bring up. They're looking for hiccups, and that comes together. Once that's done, then there can be a reach out that happens, that your ebook starts thinking about it And you can move into that because I'm a believer in the simultaneous publication of both e and print. All right, when we're going to come back, we're going to start looking about finishing up 3 months out as well as 2 months out. It's TikTok. So we went TikTok, TikTok. Now it's TikTok.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers, creating beautiful and well-made books. We're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Your 3 months. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. We're getting close. So your books are coming. You're getting closer out. You're continuing to send those advanced copies out. You have honed your pitch. So when people says, hey, what's your book about? You've got it so sharp, so succinct that in 15 seconds it is rolled out. And if it's a match for that person, they're more inclined to say, tell me more. Make sure that your blogs now are reflecting the coming book. And you're talking more and more about key points on that. Let them know you should be up on Amazon. Let them know that they could pre-order that. Give them the direct link from your blog to Amazon to support that pre-order. We're looking now at 2 months. Oh my gosh. We're so close. You're so close. Your book, if it isn't at print, it sure better be, because printing is 4 to 5 weeks. That's what we allocate. If we're going overseas, it's going to be 2 to 3 months. But usually 4 to 5 weeks. Once that book is uploaded from the designer, I know that I'm going to be having books come back. So 2 months out, you're going to connect with reporters, editors at newspapers. And if it's appropriate, you want to remember to tie it into something that might be hot in the current news. If your book ties into anything that has a special day, a special holiday, you might want to let them know on that. And because you're connecting with these columnists, these editors, you might even say, is there anything that you've got on your calendar that's being worked on now that they could share with you, that maybe then you could come back and give them a pitch tied in with your book? So that's very important to move into that area. This is all, again, 2 months pre-publication. If you're sending out a book, you want it to be a finished product now, not a gallery. So these advanced reader copies are pretty finished these days. One of our sponsors on Author U, Your Guide to Book Publishing, is Total Printing Systems. They do such a great job on ARCs, what they're called, advanced reader copies, that I've had some of our authors say, geez, if my book could look this good, I would be happy when they come out. You can get them in gloss or in matte finish, just a few dollars, $3, and it is worthwhile. It's going to be range on, how big your book is, how many pages it is. But we've been getting them we've never paid more than $4 for advanced reader copy. And we're talking about getting at least 50. And by the way, you want that kind of thing. You're seeding, you're throwing them out. Now make sure on an advanced reader copy is that you put some kind of a symbol, a logo saying not available for resale, advanced reader copy. And one of the things that's unique about advanced reader copy, the back cover is different. Often you'll have some of the marketing information, the promo information, if there's going to be a publicist involved, who that is, besides just, what the key points of this book is all about. Reminds of the cost. It's a little bit different layout in that arena. So any reconfirming of appointments that you've already set up that are tying into your launch date, this is a good time to do them. You want to start doing a release of some of your media releases that it's coming, and timing those. And you might want to send that out in, we're 2 months out. So roughly that's, we're looking for 8 to 9 weeks out. You might want to repeat that again. You're going to start repeating this, and another 2 weeks go by, I would send it out again. And then as you get into that final month, you're going to start being, it's like Jaws, as the keeps going forward in that. So it's a good idea to have a spreadsheet of a grid, an Excel spreadsheet of what exactly you have been doing. And you start do this on this grid. We have 4 months out, we've got this 12 months out, we've got 3 months out, we've got 2 months out of what you need to do, and then be more specific. Who you send it to, the place, the person if you know it, an email if you have it, a phone number if you have it, the address, have it all there, and then just a little note on what you do. You will be thankful that you've got this in play. You want to continue to add to your website any kudos that are coming along that people have given to you. Add it to your website. As since you've got your Advantage page up on Amazon, if there's an endorsement of a name, someone named that's an influencer, you can go up and put it up as a reference and add that to your Amazon information page for your book. So you're continuing to nurture them just a little bit. If you've got any news, events that ties into you and your book, you make sure you add that to your website. Also, shout outs to your blog, because it's amazing when things can happen here. So if you haven't, this is the time as we get close, as this closes into the 1 month, that ebook needs to be put along, because you're still going to have to look at that and create that. All right, 1 month. Okay. All right. Now we're pooped. I'm telling you, you are pooped. So we're at the tick. All right. Whatever you didn't get done, you're in really crash time. You got to tie up all your loose ends. Whatever media contacts you had identified on a shorter leash to get back to, people who had indicated any interest, this would be the time to send info. Maybe you send that bookmark you made. Do another postcard. And by the way, I always, when I reached out, I made it by a phone call or I'd send an email. This is why you want the addresses. That email, I actually would then send out a postcard with the cover of the book and maybe in the short line, 1 month to the official launch. Will you be there? and just get that out, because people hold on to postcards. It's amazing. It's amazing. So one of the things you need to do also at this time is you get a roll of postcard stamps, and you have that. So you're going to, start, I would do prepping for this final blitz. As you go through it, you're going to literally move along, and you're going to have that, and you're going to do repeating a lot of it. But this is where the postcards, you can just sit, if you're a TV, so I used to do this at TV Time. I would sit there with a pile of postcards in front of me. I would have my spreadsheet of who I'm going to be shooting these out to, and I would be pushing, that we, I'd love to be on your radio show. This is the perfect fit for your audience. Or a did you know, and maybe something, a little intriguing factoid that you can pull in. Or if there's something hot topical going along, bring it on with that. Right, so this is the follow-up time with all your local and any key media. And if you feel strong enough, I would certainly 1 month out be pitching out to even national shows, whether it's a CNN, whether it's a GMA, whether it's a Today, CBS News in the morning, or whatever names things are going by, Fox and Friends. I would be directing that to it, and usually if it's more than 6 weeks in front of official pub date, it's often too early, because remember, they're getting piles of stuff every day. It's easy to get lost. All right, social media is your best friend, and you're going to buzz. So here's one of the things, and also this ties in with your Amazon launch type of bestseller campaign. It's important for you to create tweets, Facebook postings, Google Plus postings, any type of postings. Make sure you use hashtags with it too, because you're going to use these yourself, but also all these other people who are going to be supporting and helping you, you want them to be able to just copy paste, make it easy for them. So you're going to do this ahead of time, and you're going to get these out. This last month is hectic. I'm telling you, it's so hectic. So if you've been a solo act the last few months, you might want to engage in a virtual assistant to help you with this final launch step. Maybe there's a more expansive word than hectic, but I can tell you it's chaos sometimes, it's hectic, it's overwhelmed, it's exhaustion, and it's not over. Because so much of this you're orchestrating and you're putting together, and that's why I think someone like a virtual assistant, and we did an excellent show with Kelly Johnson on how to engage a virtual assistant, how to negotiate with them, keep questions asked, that I would encourage you to look back in our scroll of shows and re-listen to that. But plan, and I should have said, during all this time, I think it's a good idea to get a massage and put that together. And at this point, this might be the weekly massage time. All right, we're there. It's tick-tock, 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 talk. You are at book publication day. So whatever good rest that you can get, because you're going to be busy today, whether you have a lot of media going on, whether you're doing a social media blitz, whether you have an Amazon launch going off is to kick it off, whatever you have decided, whether a party you've got, a series of parties, maybe your book publication day, you're going to sleep in. I'm not sure what it is, but I also think it's important for you to celebrate that it's your choice what you're going to do. You get to choose how. You may be on a plane starting your tour. You could be on a key interview slated. I have done radio blog tours. I have done TV blog tours. They didn't call them blog tours, but it's type that, where I've literally done 40 interviews in one day, starting like at 4 a.m. in the morning, starting literally on the East Coast, where it was 7 a.m. their time, and then you move across, as the satellite moves across, you're picked up for, it could be a 30-second interview, it could be a 3-minute interview, and you have to be on all the time. So celebrate. So we'll come back, and we're going to talk about what things you can do for a quick celebration just for you. I'm Judith Briles. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All righty, your big day's arrived. You're celebrating. You're doing the happy dance. The jig is in your feet. And you need to do something just for you. Let me tell you what I do for me. When I finally publish a book, and it is formally out, I have a gift to myself, which is this. I get to read 1 month of trashy books. Now, everyone's trash is different. My trash is mystery thrillers. So I give myself a month off of reading any business book because I'm a nonfiction writer. I give myself 1 month off of reading any business book that's tied into pushing whatever I'm doing in my own business. Well, because of what I do, I'm always into books because I work with clients. But what I do is that I do something for me. So I have already part of that, during the last 3 months, I've been gathering a few books that I know I get to play with. That's what I do. What are you going to do? And you want to decide to celebrate that and go forward with it. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to do and touch base on as we come in with our closing segment here is that a lot of authors stop. Okay, the book's out. Stop. No. When you are done, you are not done. So let's just do this review, right? In the beginning, you created your book. You know why you're the author of the book. You know who the reader is. You need to know who your reader is. Hopefully you didn't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to write a book. Now, what should I write about? Maybe someone will tell me what to write about. No, you clearly knew where you were going in writing your book. So that was the beginning. You created it. You researched it. You put it together. For nonfiction, you thought about things you needed to support your topic, your theme, your position. Maybe you did interviews to support your work. Maybe you have case studies in it. That's what you did during that process for fiction. I'm always in awe of the fiction writers because you come up with the most outrageous things and ideas. And your characters are unique, they're alive, sometimes they're quirky, they're endearing, but never are they going to be something that people think, oh my God, I could care less about this person, I need to avoid them by the plague. So you planned it, and you didn't jump the gun by writing too soon, meaning that you got some structure, you got some stuff together, and then you started plowing through and let it coming out. And I think that that once your word starts, especially in fiction, I found that characters start just guiding the author. They'll tell the author, literally, your hands and heart, tell the author where they're going and what they're doing. When you're in the middle of the process, you had to take your research cap off. At some point, you have to stop digging in. And you started going through it, and you completed that first draft. Huge, huge, huge. And I think that once you finish that first draft, that's a good time to take a break away from it, to noodle it. Okay, when the book's over, it's over. You're done with it. And now you went through all those things that we talked about, that we put together. You started pre-selling it. Maybe you got ready for your next book. Have you thought about your next book? Remember this, huge keeper of mine. Books create more books. So think about procreation here. It's amazing how that one amazing idea you thought you only had one would create more. So it's time to roll up your sleeves. You've gone to print. What about your supporting cast? Who's the champion of your book? All those people will come in. You need to be gathering emails and all those things. Those are the things that you have, and you bring it together. So what are the things that I want to remind you to do as we close up here? Is there are a lot of mistakes out here, and I want you to avoid them. Or maybe I should say, I want you to save money too. So make sure that you do your pre-work. We've all got pre-work in this process. Those are those bookstores I've been talking about, connecting, going with, not creating deals. Think about putting together awesome deals that you can have, that you can bundle with other things. Maybe it's combining with somebody else's. Maybe you have a common area. Have you thought about putting a book basket, a sampling of, if your expertise is, let's say, conflict resolution, maybe there's other people who have different twists and takes on it, and you can maybe do a package and shoot it out that way and recommend it to your list that your book becomes incorporated into it. Or you could thought about combining with other people. Maybe there's a special event. We see this during the holidays, that people will put together a holiday shopping spree, and that there are different genres of people. They invite everybody in the world that they know to come in, and they can do a shopping. I do that in November. I do a fall tea, and I always do it before Thanksgiving because people are thinking about shopping. With people who celebrate Hanukkah, as you know, Hanukkah moves around. It's never on the same date, where Christmas is on the same date. So what I do is a pre-Thanksgiving. It's pretty safe, and people shop. Last year, I can tell you, over $5,000 in books were sold from 20 different authors. And each author got to give a little 1-minute pitch about what their book was about, and then people bought books. So it was great fun. So think about that. You have mistakes to avoid. Not creating those pre-publication and post-publication flyers for people to know about you, to pre-buy the book, to even afterwards, so you remind them in front of them. Not speaking. I am just a huge proponent of talking and speaking. You know, I've made my money with my mouth and my words for over 30 years. I've supported my family. I put my kids through school. We've gone on vacation. We've built a house. My words, written and oral. And speaking and audiences and connecting, they want to take you home. Not pitching to book clubs. So I mentioned this earlier in this session, and there's a couple websites, and let me throw them out at you that you can consider. That there's an overall one called book-clubs, and that's plural, book-clubs-resource.com. And you can find a variety of book clubs there. There are book club deals, and that's plural.com. There is bookspan.com. There is books online, and there is one called All Book Clubs, and again, that's plural.com. All resources for you to go through and find those areas. You want to make sure that I'm always a big believer. I think John Kramer is one of the sharpest book marketing people. Sign up for his book marketing tips as you go along. I think that's recommended. I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you follow my blogs at the bookshepherd.com as well as the blog at authoru.org. And I would encourage all of you, if you want to be seriously successful, the one organization that you should put your $99 into is authoru.org. It's an immense array of information, including 9 times a year, there is an e-zine called the Author Resource that is now only available to members, and it runs 40 to 50 pages every year. Mistakes, not using a professional editor. And there's content development editors, there's copy editors, and there's that cold eye editor that I mentioned earlier. All those people are just imperatively important. Not using the right cover, an interior designer. We have done whole shows on how to identify and create those covers. So just to recap very quickly, that you want to make sure that you are competitive. If you're publishing your book yourself, if you're creating a small press, an independent press, I want you to think about creating a book that is always competitive with New York. So very quickly, go to your bookstore, your favorite brick and mortar bookstore. You're going to take a mosey around the books and see what is hot, from colors to fonts to images, to feel how they look, open them up. How do they look inside? And then go back into the area that if your book was being carried there, what's your competition? What do they look like? What do their covers look like? Because you're competing with what's current. You're competing with that. You want your books to be able to play with the big boys, whoever the big boys are. Right. Not having the right printer. There's only around 25 full production layout printers in the United States today. Make sure that you're dealing with someone who is not a print-on-demand. Well, the print-on-demand's fine if you're doing onesie and twosies. But if you're doing 500, if you're going past the short run of 1,000, you need someone who specializes in offset printing. So make sure you have that. Not branding yourself as an expert is imperative. Not having a written game plan for what you plan on doing with that vision that your passion is driving to you. What's that? Not niching yourself. You want to have target marketing. The last thing you want to do is being caught up in what I call BB gun marketing, where you just throw everything all out, cast to the wind, and maybe some bird is going to pick up my seed and drop it someplace else. What you want to do is really focus in and target. My keeper for you here is the more you niche yourself, the bigger your market becomes. Get over your adversity to social media. It's here. It's your town hall. Find it and use it. And lastly, make sure that you treat your publishing, your authorship as a business. It's critical. As you put this together, you are the chief marketing officer. Your book is your product. The books you create as they come along are the ongoing products. You need that game plan to put it together. You start with your timelines. You roll it out. You know you have this all to do. And with that, you will become a seriously successful author. I'm Judith Briles. I'm glad you've been with me. Tune in next week. We'll have much, much more on your avenue as a successful author.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take you, the author, to the next level. You'll learn tips and secrets on how to create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve book publishing success by making one very simple change in your book's journey. How to avoid the publishing predators. How to create an author and book platform that rocks. Learn how to make a living with your words and your books. Learn how to publish a book that has no regrets, and so much more. For more information, check out AuthorU.org, where authors who want to be seriously successful go. And Judith's website, thebookshepherd.com. Then join us again here next week for more. It's Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific,